My sister mocked my kids, calling them mediocre. I smiled, said, "You never see us again," and left. Then I cut off her kids' college fund. The champagne tasted like acid in my throat, but I continued smiling as my sister Charlotte's comments resonated around our parents' living room. My children, Olivia, 14, and Ethan, 10, were motionless alongside me, their expressions disintegrating in real time. These are my sister's children. No awards, no skill, exactly like their mother. Charlotte's manicured finger glided toward her own daughter, 18-year-old Madeline, who stood there with a smile that precisely matched her mother's. This is what success looks like. The room exploded with laughter. My parents, aunts, uncles and family friends who had seen me grow up. Every single person thought this was funny. Olivia's hand slid into mine, shaking. Ethan snuggled into my side, attempting to vanish. My heart broke for them. But something else took hold at that moment. Something cold and calculating that I had never experienced before. I raised my glass higher, my grin unwavering. Cheers. This is the final time you'll see us. The laughs ceased immediately. My mother's face wrinkled with uncertainty. Charlotte's sneer wavered. My father dismissed Rebecca, saying, "Don't be so dramatic. It's only a joke, is it?" I laid my glass down with meticulous care. "Olivia, Ethan, get your jackets." They dashed toward the hallway. Charlotte rolled her eyes and returned her gaze to her audience, knowing that I would crawl back in the same way I had before I would not. We drove home silently. Olivia glanced out the window, tears running down her face. Ethan curled his arms over himself, making himself as tiny as possible. My hands clenched the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles became white. "Mom." Olivia's voice crackled. "Are we truly not going back?" "Never," I promised her. My phone buzzed about an hour after we arrived home. Charlotte's name illuminated the screen. "You're still funding my daughter's college expenses, correct?" I gazed at the message for a long time. 3 years ago, when Charlotte's marriage fell apart and she found herself unexpectedly unmarried with a teenage daughter, I promised her something: I would pay for Madeline's whole 4-year college education. It felt like the appropriate decision at the moment. I had money. Charlotte did not. My fingers lingered over the keyboard. Then I opened my laptop instead. I'd been working in estate planning and financial advising for 15 years, developing a quiet, prosperous career that no one in my family appeared to notice or care about. They saw a divorced mother with ordinary children, not the person in charge of multiple large trusts and financial portfolios, one of which supported Madeline's college savings. Account. The account had been manually created and funded with more than $250,000. I placed 3 phone calls. The first was addressed to Michael Grant, my attorney. The second was to Sarah Lee, my financial advisor. The final stop was the admissions office at Harvard University, where Madeline had recently been admitted. Early decision. I eventually texted Charlotte back. "No." My phone burst. Calls, messages, and voicemails. Charlotte, my mother, and father, as well as relatives, were people I rarely communicated with. I blocked each one of them. The next morning, I took Olivia and Ethan out to breakfast at their favorite diner. We got chocolate chip pancakes and discussed everything except the night before. "Can I tell you something, guys?" I remarked this while watching them drizzle syrup over their plates. They gazed up at me with caution. "I am proud of both of you every day," Olivia's lip wobbled. "But we have no medals." "Olivia plays the piano brilliantly," I remarked firmly. "She taught herself how to write music." Ethan made a robot out of old electronics he bought at garage sales that moves and lights up. "You're both compassionate, imaginative, and bright children. That is not nothing. That is everything." Ethan wipes his eyes with his sleeve. Charlotte was quite cruel. She was. And we don't have to associate with mean people, even if they're relatives. Olivia nodded slowly. "I didn't enjoy visiting there anyhow. Grandma often compares me to Madeline." My chest clenched. I've been blind to so much normalizing their casual brutality since it had always been present, like background noise, throughout my existence. Over the next few days, I worked with my financial advisor and solicitor to reorganize Madeline's college savings. I opened a custodial investment account for Madeline's college 4 years ago, putting money on a daily basis until it grew to more than $250,000. Because I controlled the account, I had the legal authority to amend its terms. I could reconfigure it under new conditions. The redesigned account would only distribute payments for educational purposes at an estate public university. There are no private or Ivy League schools. The money was still large, enough for 4 years at a good state school with careful planning, but it wasn't the blank check Charlotte had hoped for. Harvard's tuition alone cost almost $65,000 per year. Madeline's admittance was subject on providing confirmation of financial capabilities by late February. It was January 2nd. The reorganization process required meticulous preparation. I spent hours with my financial consultant, Sarah, going over every detail. She'd known me for 14 years and had seen my family dynamics firsthand over a few disastrous dinner encounters. "Are you sure about this?" Sarah inquired, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. "Completely certain. I want everything documented, every interaction, recorded, and every decision based on legal precedent. Charlotte is about to lose her sanity. Charlotte will realize that her deeds have repercussions." I signed another form steadily and deliberately. Sarah sat back in her chair and looked at me with something like, to adoration. "I have never seen you like this. You're generally quite accommodating with them." I was a doormat. I made a correction. Being accommodating is not the same as being a doormat. I let them walk all over me because I hoped they would finally notice me. Really see me. And now I know they never will. They do not want to see me. They want a supporting character in Charlotte's tale. Someone who makes her appear superior in contrast. The reorganization paperwork were completed on January 5th. Charlotte got an official notification on January 8th. My phone rang 19 times that day. I responded to none of them. By January 9th, Charlotte had arrived at my office. Melissa contacted me in a panicked voice. "She's causing a scene in the lobby. Should I contact security?" I stepped out to see Charlotte yelling at Melissa, her face blotchy and angry. Other guests in the waiting room were uneasy, with some shooting on their phones. "You cannot do this," Charlotte screamed when she saw me. "That money is Madeline's, you promised." "Lower your voice," I replied softly. "You are bothering my clients. I don't care about your customers. You are wrecking my daughter's life. I am not destroying anything. There is still money available for her education, just not at Harvard. Harvard is her ideal school. Then she should have sought for scholarships, just like everyone else. Perhaps you should have saved for her school instead of expecting me to cover the full cost." Charlotte's jaw dropped open. "You are my sister. Family helps family. Families do not ridicule each other's children. When children are humiliated, their families do not laugh at them." I kept my voice professional. "You had the opportunity to be family. You chose cruelty instead. You can now live with your decision. Mom and Dad are upset with you. I'm certain they are. They can share your disappointment. Madeline works really hard for that acceptance. And she can work hard in a public university. Charlotte, public schools have produced a large number of successful graduates. Isn't that prestigious enough for you?" Her eyes narrowed with hate. "You're jealous. You've always been envious that Madeline is better than your substandard children." Something chilly sank into my chest. "Get out of my office. If you come back, I will arrest you for trespassing." "You can't?" "Yes, I can." "Melissa, please contact security." 2 security guards came within minutes. Charlotte screamed threats over her shoulder, warning that I would regret it, that she would sue me for all I owned, and that I would die alone and lonely. I returned to my office, locked the door, and sat at my desk for a long time. My hands shook, but not for terror. From relief, from the profound joy of finally standing up for myself and my children. Michael called that afternoon. "I heard about the incident at your office. There is security footage. Good. Keep it." Charlotte's attorney called me. "They've threatened to sue for violation of oral contract. Allow them to try." I have 3 years of emails and text messages from Charlotte calling my children dumb, lazy, and useless. I have proof for every unpleasant statement, comparison, every time she used Madeline to disparage Olivia and Ethan. I also saved an Instagram video from New Year's Eve before my cousin erased it. "If they want to go to court, I'm prepared." Michael chuckled grimly. "I had hoped you'd say that. I will prepare our answer." Olivia caught me in the kitchen that night, gazing at my laptop. "Mom, are you okay?" I closed the computer and hugged her. "I'm doing better than okay. I'm done with people mistreating us." "Aunt Charlotte came into your office." Word spread quickly. Ethan must have heard me on the phone. "She did. She was angry about Madeline's college fund. You modified it." I glanced at my 14-year-old daughter, a smart and clever girl who had spent far too much of her life feeling inferior. "Yes, I modified it because I am not going to reward those who have mistreated you. One time, Grandma called me mediocre." Olivia spoke quietly. Last year after my piano performance she told me I was mediocre and should stop playing since I'd never be as talented as the other kids. My heart broke open. You've never told me that. I did not want to make you sad. You usually appeared anxious when we visited them. I was stressed since being with them was taxing. Always walking on eggshells, always trying to keep them from saying anything hurtful. I held her face in my hands. You are not mediocre, Olivia. You are extraordinary. Your granny is incorrect on every important point. She gripped me tightly, and I could feel her shoulders shudder with muffled sobbing. How much anguish had my children been enduring while protecting me from the truth about my own family? Ethan arrived at the doorway, with his robot tucked under his arm. Are we truly not going back? Never, I pledged again. We are done with folks who make us feel tiny. My phone continued ringing with unfamiliar numbers. I disregarded them all. Instead, I concentrated on my kids. We spent the week between Christmas and New Year's doing anything kids wanted. Ethan had begged to go to museums, movies, and the trampoline park. Olivia and I spent the entire afternoon in a music store, where she tried out several keyboards until she discovered one that made her face light up. I purchased it without hesitation, along with the composition software she had been seeking for months. Really? She took a breath and stared at the boxes. Really? I'd want to hear what you've created. On January 6th, my mother arrived at my office. Melissa, my receptionist, buzzed me with hardly hidden concern in her voice. There's a woman here who claims to be your mother. Tell her I am not available. She says she will wait. Then she will have to wait a long time. Through my office window, I saw my mother pace the lobby for 20 minutes before ultimately leaving, her face flushed with rage. The next morning, she returned. This time, I'm accompanied by my Aunt Barbara and cousin Lily. They formed a small group in my lobby and spoke loudly about ungrateful daughters and family duties. I phoned building security. 3 ladies are harassing my workers and upsetting the other tenants. Please delete them. My mother's face turned scarlet when the security guard approached. I heard her voice raise in outrage. I am her mother. She cannot have me thrown away. Ma'am, you should leave. The guard said sternly. This is absurd, Rebecca. Come out here and confront me like an adult. I remained in my office. Eventually they departed. Melissa came at my door, looking agitated. I am sorry you had to deal with this. Do not apologize. You handled it perfectly. I paused and then made a choice. If any of them come up again, you have my permission to contact the police. I am going to submit an official no trespass order against all 3 of them. Her eyebrows raised. Wow. Are you serious about this? Deadly serious. They've showed up twice, disturbing my company. I will not tolerate it. That evening, a certified letter came at my home. I opened it to discover a demand letter from Charlotte's attorney, saying that I had verbally agreed to pay for Madeline's schooling and was now in breach of that agreement. The letter was packed with legal jargon, evidently intended to scare someone without legal assistance. It sought that Harvard's full financing be restored immediately, as well as compensation for mental pain and lost future earning potential. I genuinely laughed out loud when reading that. I sent it to Michael with a short letter. Handle it. He responded with joy within an hour. What followed was 2 weeks of legal maneuvering, which I saw from a safe distance. Michael was a former prosecutor with a keen mind and no tolerance for bogus litigation. He'd been looking for a case like this. He wrote Charlotte's attorney a letter that he described as professionally devastating. It detailed every documented case of Charlotte's cruelty and neglect of Olivia and Ethan. Every hurtful comment stored in text messages, every comparison caught in emails, and every family event where Charlotte used her kid as a weapon to bring me down. He also shared an Instagram video from New Year's Eve that my cousin had publicly uploaded. I saved the copy within hours of the celebration, knowing it may disappear. My cousin removed it the next day, but the proof was still saved. The video displayed everything. Charlotte stood up, waving at my children with theatrical scorn, her voice dripping with disgust, everyone laughing, Olivia's face collapsing and Ethan attempting to withdraw into my side, then my quiet statement and our stately leave, with Charlotte smirking behind us. Michael appended a counterclaim for intentional infliction of mental distress against minors, naming Olivia and Ethan as plaintiffs and me as their representative. He sought damages, a public apology, and a restraining order. Charlotte's attorney withdrew the complaint 4 days later. My mother took a different approach. She began showing up to Olivia's school, waiting in the pickup line. Olivia contacted me the first time from the school office in tears. Grandma is here. She claims she only wants to speak, but the principal refuses to allow her take me without your consent. Good. Tell the principal that I'll be there in 12 minutes. I arrived to find my mother in the main office, fighting with the principal and the school security officer. Her expression brightened up when she spotted me, as if we were ready to share an emotional reunion. Rebecca, finally tell them it's acceptable for me to speak with Olivia. She's my grandchild. No. I said plainly. My mother blinked. What? I responded. No. You're not allowed to contact my children. Not at school. Not anywhere. I turned to face the principal. I need to provide legal documentation stating that my mother is not authorized to pick up or interact with any of my children. If she appears again, contact the police. You cannot do this. My mother's voice swelled to a screech. They are my grandchildren. You giggled as Charlotte tore them apart. You sat there sipping champagne as your grandkids tried not to weep. My voice remained flat and chilly. You've made your choice. Live with it. I did not laugh. Yes, you did. It is on video. Do you want me to show you? Her mouth opened and closed. The principal seems genuinely uncomfortable. The security officer adjusted his weight, preparing to act if needed. Olivia and Ethan are my babies. My mother attempted, switching tactics to the injured grandma. I adore them. Love does not degrade. Love does not stand by as someone separates children for amusement. Whatever you believe you're feeling is not love, but rather possession. I signed out the paperwork right there, prohibiting my mother, Charlotte, and numerous other family members from contacting my children. The principal told me that the school would rigorously follow it. My mother departed weeping, but all I felt was a bitter pleasure that I had saved my children from another attack. Late February has come. Harvard's financial paperwork deadline has passed. According to my sources, Melissa's daughter attended Harvard and knew Madeline since high school. Madeline's admittance was revoked when the requisite financial proof failed to materialize. Charlotte wrote a lengthy, nasty diatribe on Facebook about ungrateful sisters and unfulfilled promises. I didn't see it personally, but 3 former pals emailed me images, evidently expecting me to feel bad. I felt nothing but relief when I finally disconnected the cord. Olivia returned home after her piano lesson sparkling. Mrs. Rodriguez adds, I'm ready to perform in the spring recital. She wants me to play one of my original compositions. I hugged her tightly. That's incredible, sweetheart. She added, I have real talent. Olivia's voice was questioning, as if she'd never considered that option before. I know you do, Ethan said, bursting into the kitchen with his robot in hand. Mom, take a look. I adjusted the arm mechanism. It can now pick up items. I saw his face light up with pride and enthusiasm. This boy, who had been told he lacked talent, taught himself fundamental engineering using YouTube tutorials and sheer drive. I told him, You're amazing. I want to join the robotics club at school, he stated sheepishly. Is this okay? More than satisfactory. Let us sign you up tomorrow. In February, I received another letter from Charlotte's attorney. This time, they're threatening to sue for mental pain and alienation. Michael's answer was quick and violent. A stop and desist letter describing every recorded incident of emotional abuse Charlotte had perpetrated over the years, including the New Year's Eve assault caught on tape. The threat vanished, but the pestering continued. It just changed forms. Michael termed them flying monkeys. My family dispatched somebody to perform the dirty labor. Distant relatives I scarcely knew suddenly contacted me with concerns about family reconciliation and forgiveness. Old family friends contacted to tell me I was being very harsh. Charlotte's statements had not meant anything, and I was ripping the family apart. You are ruining your parents. Aunt Barbara informed me that during one especially nasty phone call, I had accidentally answered your mother tears every day. Your father's blood pressure is quite high. All because you cannot take a joke. I repeated the joke bluntly. Charlotte has a strong sense of humor. She always has. You are just overly sensitive. In front of a large group of people, she referred to my children as talentless. She compared them negatively to her daughter and pushed everyone to mock them. That is not funny, Barbara. That's harsh. Oh, for goodness sakes. Kids require thicker skin. The world is hard. The world is hard enough. Home should be protected. The family should be protected. If you don't comprehend it, we don't have anything further to say. I hung up and blocked her number. However, more kept arriving. My father's business partner, my mother's book club acquaintance, and even my old college roommate, whom I hadn't spoken to in 10 years, all messaged me unexpectedly. asking if I was okay and suggesting that I was overreacting. "How much did my mother pay you for contacting me?" I asked. There was a long pause before the response came. "She's just worried about you." I blocked her as well. The constant barrage was exhausting. Every day brought new attempts to wear me down, to make me feel guilty, to convince me I was the problem. Some messages were subtle, dressed up as concern, while others were direct attacks, calling me petty, vindictive, and cruel. I began keeping a log of every contact attempt, message, and phone call, as Michael suggested it might be necessary if we needed to pursue legal action for harassment. "They won't stop," he warned me, "and they'll escalate until you give them what they want or get a restraining order." "What do you recommend?" "Document everything. Don't reply to anything. And let them dig their own graves." Ethan's robotics club became his haven, and the other kids there had no idea about our family problems. All they saw was a brilliant, creative youngster who made wonderful robots. Jenna, his 14-year-old team captain, treated him like a valuable team member, asking for his opinion and incorporating his ideas. Jenna said, "My gear system was genius." Ethan told me one afternoon, practically bouncing with excitement, she said, "I think outside the box." "That's because you do," I said, ruffling his hair. "Coach James wants me to lead the design for the competition robot's arm." He added, "I have the best spatial reasoning on the team." Seeing my kid light up with pride and purpose made every painful moment worthwhile. This was what he deserved: praise, support, and confidence in his ability. Olivia's piano lessons with her new teacher at the conservatory, Professor Michael Miller, opened up a whole new world for her. He treated her like a real musician, not a youngster with a hobby. He assigned her tasks that challenged her, exposed her to composers she had never heard of, and encouraged her to delve deeper into her emotional relationship to music. Olivia informed me that he made her weep today after her third class. My heart leaped. What happened? Not an awful cry. He played me a tune by the composer Caroline Shaw. And it was really lovely. I've just begun weeping. Then he told me, "That's what genuine music does. It makes you feel things you didn't know you could feel." He continued, "I have that ability too. My compositions make people feel." She showed me the music she'd been working on, a sophisticated arrangement that blended several themes into something disturbing and beautiful. Professor Miller had made notes in the margins. "Beautiful phrase here. Trust your intuition. This is the work of an actual composer." "He called you a true composer," I remarked, my voice full of emotion. He added, "Talent is common, but the ability to transmit emotion through music is uncommon." He said, "I have both." Olivia stared at me with astonishment in her eyes. Nobody had ever told me I was excellent at something before. "You are wonderful at so many things, love. I know that now." Previously, all I heard about was how Madeline got straight A's and won debate competitions and got into Harvard, and I thought that was what success looked like. But now I know that success looks different for everyone. Madeline's path isn't mine, but that doesn't make mine any less valuable. Through mutual acquaintances, I learned that Madeline had enrolled at a community college, planning to transfer after 2 years, and Charlotte had moved in with our parents because she couldn't afford her apartment. My mother told anyone who listened that I destroyed my niece's future out of spite, and I wondered if any of them remembered what they'd laughed at that night, or if they'd ever considered how those words felt to 2 children who had done nothing wrong but exist. Probably not. Spring arrived, and so did Olivia's recital. She wore a deep blue dress and performed her original composition, a melancholy piece she titled Invisible, with such raw emotion that I saw people in the audience wiping their eyes. When she took her bow, the applause was thunderous, and she found me in the crowd afterwards, beaming. "Did you hear them? They loved it." Ethan's robotics team made it to the regional competition in April. They didn't win, but his robot performed flawlessly, and the judges especially praised his innovative design. He came home with a third-place medal and a certificate, which he proudly displays in his room. "No medals, huh?" he said, staring at his trophy with satisfaction. I laughed. Not a single one. In May I received an invitation to my cousin Lily's wedding. She'd been one of the people laughing that night. I RSVP'd no without explanation, and she called me confused and hurt. "Rebecca, what's going on? You're my family. Family doesn't humiliate each other's children for entertainment," I said calmly. "That was months ago. Charlotte was just playing around. You're being so sensitive." You laughed as my kids stood there trying not to weep. "That's not sensitivity, that's consequences." Are you really going to throw away our entire relationship over this? I'm not throwing anything away. I'm just done pretending casual cruelty is acceptable because we shared DNA. She hung up on me, and I deleted her contact information and moved on. But Lily's wedding became a turning point in ways I hadn't expected. Without me there, the family apparently spent the entire reception talking about me, about how I'd changed, how cold I'd become, and how I'd abandoned everyone for nothing. Kelly, an old friend who had been invited to the wedding and had witnessed the entire spectacle, called me the next day, furious on my behalf. Rebecca, they spent hours trashing you. Your mother gave this whole speech about ungrateful children and broken families. Charlotte cried at the rehearsal dinner about how you destroyed Madeline's dreams. It was a nightmare. But here's the thing. Not everyone agreed with them. Rachel's husband's family was there and they were clearly uncomfortable. A few people pushed back, asking why you'd cut contact, and when your mom explained about the New Year's Eve thing, several people looked horrified. Really? Yeah. One of the groom's aunts actually said, "Wait, she insulted your grandchildren to their faces, and you're mad that your daughter protected them?" Your mother attempted to backtrack, saying it wasn't so horrible, but everybody had phones, someone had rescued. They resurfaced the Instagram video from New Year's before your cousin erased it. I sat down heavily. They watched the video. They saw it. And Rebecca, this is horrible. Like, very terrible. I'm watching as an outsider. Without the familial setting, it appears like an adult lady tormenting children while everyone laughs. The groom's family was outraged. I overheard his mother telling him later that your family had significant dysfunction issues. That is definitely the understatement of the year. I wanted you to realize that not everyone believes you're incorrect. Some of us witnessed precisely what occurred. And for what it's worth, I regret not speaking out that night. I should have said something. Kelly's call was more important than she probably thought. I'd been carrying the weight of being the villain in everyone's narrative, wondering if I'd overreacted or was being too harsh, but I was not. I'd shielded my children from those who had shown they couldn't be trusted with their emotions. Olivia's year-end recital with Professor Harrison took place in June. The conservatory presented it in their lovely music hall, which has superb acoustics and velvet chairs. Olivia played 3 pieces, 2 classical choices and one of her own creations. Her original sculpture, called Emergence, was magnificent. It began gentle and timid, gradually developing into something forceful and victorious. The crowd sat in total stillness as she performed, and when she was done, the ovation was quick and deafening. Professor Harrison stepped up and cheered with everyone, smiling with delight. Olivia took her bow, her face gleaming, and spotted me in the audience. I mouthed, "I love you," and her smile spread even wider. Afterward, numerous individuals approached us, other parents, music professors, and even some elite conservatory students. They all wanted to congratulate Olivia and express how affected they were by her performance. "Your daughter has exceptional talent," one woman told me. She identified herself as Dr. Miranda Chen, a music professor at the State University. "Has she considered applying to our Young Composers program? We take high school students for summer intensive training." Olivia's eyes widened afterward. "Really? Really? I'd be happy to send you the information." We exchanged contact information, and Dr. Chen spoke with Olivia for another 12 minutes on composition theory and modern classical music. Olivia listened intently, asking clever questions and soaking up every word. Olivia was virtually humming with joy as we drove home. "Mother, did you hear what she said? A university professor feels I'm qualified for their program." "You're good enough. You're more than qualified." "And Charlotte claimed I lacked skill," Olivia replied gently. "For years, every time we visited them, she'd say something about how I was wasting my time with music and should focus on academics like Madeline." I began to believe her. "I should have sheltered you from it sooner. You safeguarded us when it was most important." Olivia leaned over to squeeze my hand. "Thank you for selecting us." Ethan's robotics team finished 3rd at the regional tournament in April. The judges praised his concept for the robotic arm as both original and well executed. He arrived home with a trophy, medal and diploma, which he proudly displayed in his room. "Coach James says I should apply for the state STEM program next year," Ethan said me as he meticulously organized his trophies on his shelf. "It's competitive, but he thinks I have a good shot." "Of course you do. Grandpa used to tell me I was bad at math," Ethan explained, tracing his finger over the edge of his medal. "Remember? He'd help me with my homework and become irritated, telling me I wasn't working hard enough and was lazy." I remembered. My father was not patient with anything that didn't come easy, and he had made Ethan feel dumb more times than I could recall. Your grandfather was mistaken, I stated forcefully. You aren't awful at math, you just learnt something different than he expected. This is his failure, not yours. Summer provided fresh chances. Olivia attended a music composition camp at a nearby university, where she thrived with other young composers. Ethan enrolled in a summer robotics class and returned home every day, chatting about servos and programming languages that I hardly understood. They'd both grown taller and more confident. The troubled expressions they'd worn that night had disappeared, replaced with the bright-eyed joy of youngsters who realized they were cherished. In August, I received an SMS from an unknown number. It took me a while to recognize Madeline. I apologize for what my mother said at New Year's. I wanted to inform you sooner, but she refused to allow me contact you. I currently attend community college. It's actually rather good. I am learning a lot. I simply wanted you to know that I do not blame you for anything. I gazed at the message for a long time. Madeline had always been caught in the center of Charlotte's dysfunction, influenced by her mother's ideals and priorities in ways that were not completely her fault. I replied, "Thank you for reaching out. I am delighted school is going well. You are always welcome to come by if you wish to discuss without your mother." She never accepted my offer, but the fact that she had sought out made me feel like something had changed. Even marginally. September brought a new school year. Olivia began 7th grade and quickly joined the school's music program. Ethan entered 4th grade and enrolled in the advanced science class. On September 30th, I was formally invited to my parents' 40th anniversary party. It was in 4 weeks, a massive party that had been planned for months. I discarded the invitation. My father phoned the following day. "Rebecca, we need to discuss." "No, we do not." "Are you really not going to our anniversary party?" "Your mother is sad. She should have considered it before laughing at her grandkids." "For goodness sake, it was 12 months ago. How long will you carry on to this grudge?" "It is not a grudge, Dad. It is a border. You all demonstrated your own personalities and values. I am choosing to believe you. Charlotte is your sister. Madeline is your niece. We are your family. Family does not do what you did. Family protects children rather than tearing them down for a laugh. You are being unreasonable, then I assume I am unreasonable. Goodbye, Dad." I hung up and blocked his number. The anniversary celebration happened without us. I took Olivia and Ethan to an amusement park instead, where we spent the entire day riding roller coasters, eating pricey food, and laughing until our sides hurt. "This is the best Saturday ever," Ethan said, his face covered in cotton candy. Olivia nodded, smiling. "Much better than a dull party." "Much better," I agreed. October brought colder temperatures and a sense of tranquility that I hadn't felt in years. I quit waiting for my family to apologize or change. I had given up hope that they would suddenly view my children as entire, worthy and valued persons, as I did. I had just gone along without them. Olivia's music instructor called me in for a conference. My heart sunk, anticipating trouble. However, Mrs. Rodriguez smiled. "Olivia has great talent," she stated. "I've been teaching for 23 years and have seldom seen pupils with her instinctive command of composition. Have you considered getting private lessons from a more specialized teacher?" I hadn't considered it. Every year, a professor at the conservatory takes on a few young students. I'd like to propose Olivia, if you are interested. "Olivia, what are your thoughts?" I asked. Her eyes shone. "Really? What about the conservatory?" We met with the professor the next week. He listened to Olivia perform 3 of her works while inquiring about her approach and influences. When she was finished, he sat back and watched her carefully. "You have something special," he informed her. "Something that cannot be taught, but rather fostered. I'd be thrilled to work with you." Professor Michael Harrison was a pivotal role in Olivia's musical education. Olivia seems to glide away from delight. On the way home she turned to me, tears in her eyes. Charlotte claimed I didn't have skill. Your aunt was incorrect on a number of issues. I am happy we left." "Me too, dear." Ethan's robotics team began preparing for the state tournament. He spent hours in our garage, which I turned into a workshop for him, tuning and correcting his most recent masterpiece. His professors informed me he excelled in math and physics, indicating a great talent for engineering. Charlotte sent me a Facebook friend request back in November. I refused it. She sent another the next day, but it was denied again. On the 3rd day, she made a new account and contacted me personally. "Could we please talk? I acknowledge that I made a mistake. I miss you. I read the message then erased it without responding. December arrived, marking the 1-year anniversary of that terrible New Year's Eve. Olivia and Ethan were different children today, confident, comfortable and thriving in ways they had never experienced before. "Are we doing anything for New Year's this year?" Olivia inquired. "What would you like to do? Can we remain at home and watch movies? Is it just us?" "That sounds wonderful." On New Year's Eve, the three of us baked homemade pizza, played board games, and watched the ball drop on television from our couch. At midnight, we toasted with sparkling cider. I said fresh beginnings, and Olivia added that we are enough just the way we are. "To the family that chose us," Ethan stated gravely. We clinked our glasses, and I felt a deep sensation of light wash over me. This was family. This was home. This was sufficient. My phone vibrated with a text from an unknown number. "Happy New Year, sis. I hope you are pleased of yourself for wrecking this family." I read it once and blocked the number. Charlotte's remarks were no longer effective in this situation. "Who was that?" Olivia asked. "Nobody significant," I muttered, putting my phone away. "So, who wants more pizza?" The last year had taught me something important. You cannot compel others to appreciate you, but you can definitely refuse to accept their devaluation. You can walk away. You can make anything better. Sometimes the greatest act of love is knowing when to go. My children now understand this. They'd seen me stand up for them, defend them, and prioritize them over responsibility and guilt, as well as a frantic want to be accepted by people who'd never seen me before. They had learnt that their worth was not defined by the judgments of others, including family, especially not family who used them as props in someone else's superiority complex. Olivia's music continues to thrive. Ethan's robots become increasingly advanced. They established friends who valued them, teachers who supported them, and gradually constructed lives that were unrelated to a family that had abandoned them. I discovered something surprising. Freedom. The flexibility to define family in my own way. The ability to demand respect rather than beg for morsels of praise. The ability to walk away from harmful situations without feeling guilty. Charlotte never received her apologies or reconciliation. My parents never had their docile daughter back. Madeline's Ivy League education was never supported by her aunt, whom she had learnt to despise. But Olivia received her music. Ethan received his robots, and I gained my children's trust, happiness, and the assurance that I would fight for them no matter what. That was more valuable than all the champagne toasts and family reunions in the world. Olivia played at a famous young music showcase on a cold spring evening in late April, exactly 1 year and nearly 4 months after everything happened. Her composition moved the crowd to their feet. Strangers came us afterward to compliment her talent, inquire about her training, and tell her she had a promising future. Ethan stood next to me, smiling with joy for his sister. I looked at my children, my seemingly ordinary, talentless youngsters, and felt my heart fill with a strong love that required no confirmation from others who had proved themselves unworthy of witnessing it. "No medals, no talent," I mumbled to myself, recalling Charlotte's sneer. Olivia noticed my words and smiled up at me. "Just like their mother, correct?" I agreed, drawing them both closer, "and we're doing nicely."